Welcome to the Battle Hardened Dad podcast. Hopefully, you can hear me well. It's not like too loud or nothing like that. And on this episode, we're going to discuss LUTO. In your case, like you have like pretty much like I would say like the dream story for someone who maybe had to experience LUTO, which is your son is still happy and healthy and living here. So excited to like hear about the whole journey as much as you can recollect. But I think the even cooler thing is you you kind of went through this, 12, your son is 12, right?
Right.
So you went through this 12 years ago, which, it seems like a long time ago. Like I'm sure there was even less information, so you probably were coming into Ludo just absolutely blank canvas, really trying to figure it out, and then you started this Facebook group, which is what I eventually found when I had my situation. And like I'll tell you, like, had you not started this Facebook group, like, there's a lot of us that, I mean, at least it's something. Like, it really is something that is tangible, that's there. And it helps, like, I don't know if you get this feedback much, but it definitely helps people not feel alone. And
That's good. That's good because I felt very alone. So that was the point. I'm glad to hear that.
yeah, it definitely helped me not feel alone, and it helped at least to understand other people's journey in understanding like okay, like this is indeed a problem, and like I don't feel alone because like everybody's having the same type of questions, right? Like what caused this? Like what's okay? We went for our scan. It's like it feels like everybody has the same thing. You go in, you're happy. You go in for your scan. You see something on the screen that doesn't look right, or maybe the person doing the scan notices something or your doctor notices something, and then everything just goes into an absolute tailspin, and then you're in and out of the doctor, and like there's possible procedures happening. It's like it's just a lot, and really everyone seems to have the same milestones and the same journey. So I just want to say thank you personally for starting this group, because it's like you starting this group is what kicked me off for like, so I'm kind of a branch of what you started. So hopefully we can continue, and hopefully people will also want to branch off of what I'm doing and say, okay, I want to start something else to support Ludo. So like you're kind of pioneering things, and look what you did. You've got me sitting down to do podcasting now. So
That's
thank you.
awesome. That's
Yes.
really great to hear. I don't know what to say about that because it's kind of been in the background. It's always
Mm.
been there. Ludo Warriors has always been there, but it's kind of been in the background.
Hmm.
And it's just making it one day at a time, basically with him.
Brandon. So let's start from the beginning. So you got pregnant with Brandon,
Hmm.
and you have that euphoric like, oh boy, we're pregnant, and then does it start the doctor visits? Like, how does that all work out?
Yeah, Brandon is my third child. And
Okay.
so it wasn't like, "Ooh, yeah, first baby syndrome."
Okay.
No, it was kind of in a very hard time of my life. And him having a different father than my other children, was a big deal. It was a lot of new things with that. It was like a totally different family that I was dealing with than what I was originally dealing with my first two children. And I just didn't it didn't feel the same, but it didn't really like I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't like overjoyed, I'll be honest with you, but you probably should take that out.
Yeah, I got some. I've got editing tools. Don't worry.
No, but okay, so he was a surprise. I had been with
Hmm.
his father for 2 years and I had not gotten pregnant. Where with my other children's father, I had gotten pregnant immediately. So he was unexpected. Let's just say that.
Okay.
Brandon was an
Okay.
unexpected child. And
Hmm.
it was a lot of hard times for me financially and things like that, but I still did this 3D exam. Like I found a way. I don't know, the 3D ultrasounds were a thing then, like
Hmm.
huge. It was brand new 3D
Hmm.
ultrasounds, and you could see what the baby like nowadays it's in every ultrasound that you go to. But then it was a big deal to get a recording of the ultrasound, and they put music to it and everything. And we went to that at 17 weeks. And that was perfect. Perfect. We found out he was a boy. We were all excited. We named him Brandon. His name was Bean before that. We called him Bean for a long time. This was in Texas. And
So
so
17 weeks. Oh, crazy happening.
nothing looked abnormal. Then
That's
18 weeks, we went in to do his anomaly scan. We did it a little bit early. Thank God we did it a little bit early, but it was like 18 weeks. And it was like the following week, I went in for an anomaly scan, and his abdomen was distended, and he had that big black keyhole,
yeah.
and his stomach was bigger than his head. That's what I remember. And I remember them saying that fetus heads are like way bigger than everything else on their body, you know. So it just looked really weird. And I remember the ultrasound tech saying she had to go talk to Dr. Corhonen, who was my regular OBGYN. He said that it looked like it was a lower urinary tract obstruction, that he'd only seen it once or twice. He was going to send me to a specialist. So I went to an MFM, a basic MFM, I would say. And I don't
And what is an
remember,
MFN?
maternal fetal medicine doctor.
Okay, so
Um,
this is more of like a specialist.
yeah. So he was more acquainted with all around deformities or anomalies in utero. So it wasn't specific for LUTO. And he told me that he had about a 1% chance of survival out, and then out of that 1% chance of survival, he had about a 1% chance of having any kidney function or any quality of life, and that I should terminate the pregnancy.
And you're 18 weeks at this point, or is this like
This is
closer to
like
19?
early 19 weeks.
19 weeks. Okay, so we're.
Within the next couple of days, I got an appointment with him.
Mm-hmm.
He So he told me that there wasn't any hope and that I should terminate the pregnancy. And for some reason, I didn't want to. He said there was this one guy that he knew that specialized in LUTO, but not to have much hope. And he sent me to Dr. Rodrigo Ruano at Texas Children's Hospital. I went there, and their team of experts, I mean, just took control of the situation in such an amazing way. It was like I started living there at Texas Children's Hospital and in the Women's Center. And
Mm,
I say basically, I was about a 45-minute drive away. So I had to go in and out of the hospital quite a bit. And
mm,
like every week we had ultrasounds. So the first week we did a lot of genetic testing, and
yeah.
they wanted to make sure that he was not sick in any other way besides this, because
Mm-hmm.
they wanted to see, I guess if it was a chance that he might survive, more of a chance that he might survive. So checked that, and they checked his kidney function. He had very mild kidney function at that
Okay.
time. Yeah. But he had hydronephrosis for sure at that time, like very cystic kidneys.
Okay.
And his bladder at that point was very extended, and he had no amniotic fluid. So all of his amniotic fluid, I don't know if you know, amniotic fluid and the urine are the same thing. The baby
Yeah,
drinks the
I
amniotic
found that
fluid
out.
and pees it back out into,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's how they learn how to pee.
Mm,
Our babies have a blockage there.
mm,
My son, I know, had a blockage in the posterior urethral valve. So he could not pee. So all of his pee went back into his kidneys, which caused a reflux, which caused him to have bad kidneys. And so at that time, they did a bladder tap. They took the pee out of the bladder and put it back into the amniotic fluid. And they did that for the rest of the week. And we were like at near the end of 19 weeks, and we had the shunt surgery. He was a candidate for the shunt surgery. We went through a lot of testing to become a candidate. And then Dr. Ruano and his team went in and they put a very small shunt in him at 19 and some days.
So, question for you. So they had to go in and relieve his bladder every day until the
No,
procedure?
they did it twice before the surgery.
Okay. Did you have to be awake the whole time, or did they like
Yeah, I was
give you
awake.
anesthesia?
It was like an amniocentesis kind of thing feel.
Okay.
And I was also seeing their psych department because I was going through so many life challenges at the time. So I was on they were managing my medicines and trying to do, and I was afraid that my medicine had something to do with it, you know. I was afraid of that, but they did risk versus benefit of what was absolutely necessary for me to have a semi-normal brain function. You know, I struggle with bipolar and ADHD as well. You know, I have medicines that I have to take on a regular basis.
Sure.
So I was dealing with that. And so I would go weekly and have the ultrasound done. And by the time we were at 20 weeks, the next week when we went for the follow up, he had pulled the shunt out and was playing with it. He had it in his hand. He was actually born with it in his hand. And
Yeah.
I would see him on ultrasounds weekly where he was like playing with the little uh shunt. It was his toy he had in there. And so at 20 weeks, they saw that he had pulled it out, and then they wanted to see if it wasn't like, you know, correcting itself at that point. It wasn't. So by 21 weeks, we had a second surgery, and they put two shunts in, two larger shunts, because at this time the fetus was a lot larger. Um, because they're growing very rapidly at that point. And
Hmm.
so they put one in his side because he had ascites, which is like fluid that's outside of the body. It's like a blister, kind of.
Hmm.
So they put it there, and they got the fluid out that way, and they also put one in his bladder, and that stayed in until 37 weeks. So we just managed until 37 weeks with those two shunts. Then the one had that was clearing out the side, he still has a scar from it today, a very deep scar too. It was weird. He was born with it like covered up, like it had
Hmm.
he had gotten so fat because he was a little chunker man. I tell you, he was a little chunky man, and I hear that a lot of these babies are born like really chunky because of the ascites and stuff like that. But
Hmm.
he was born with it. There was a flap that grew over top of that shunt, so it was no longer working for him. And
Mm.
so we had to deliver him or do another shunt. And at 37 weeks, there's no point of doing another shunt. Just deliver him and do surgery. And that's what they
Right.
did. They induced me. I had him vaginally, and he was born with that shunt in his hand. And he went immediately over to NICU, where they did surgery when he was an hour old to unblock his PUV, his posterior urethral valve. And the only other surgery he's had since then was a circumcision, because we didn't do the circumcision right away. They said that it was important for him to have a circumcision, but not to do it right away because
Hmm.
of UTIs, which we're
Hmm.
struggling with still today. You know, we still deal with that.
We had surgery, and now they were advising you on the circumcision.
Okay, on the circumcision, so they said that's going to be later down the road, but first I have to go through a month of lots of touch and go of him in the NICU. I stayed at the Ronald McDonald House, which are awesome. I have to tell you, Ronald McDonald House, love them. So if you
Shout out
guys
Ronald
ever
McDonald
see
House.
them to donate,
Yes.
donate because they're
Donate to
awesome.
Ronald McDonald House. All right. Shout out them. Got you.
Yeah, so they had beds that I could go to at night and then stay during the day in the NICU, and I did that for a month, and wasn't working at the time. So I was going back and forth, and mind you, I had the two other kids too. You know,
Yeah.
so it was very difficult. It was lots of touch and go the first couple weeks. He was allergic to morphine, so that we had that problem after surgery, but they said that it was likely because he was like brand new, you know, so he didn't tolerate the meds very well. And his kidney functions were at like a stage 3 or 4, not at dialysis point or anything like that, but they started giving him KXLate. And that worked for a while. And then he slowly started getting better. You know, they wanted him on a specialized formula. At a month old, we took him home. He was on a specialized formula that had I want to say I don't know. It's something with to do with the electrolytes. I can't remember exactly what it had to do with the electrolytes, but it was low in iron, and didn't affect the kidneys the same way as normal formula did. And boy, I had to go like an hour and a half away to this place, and I had WIC, and I had to get all of them at the same time. quite a journey to find this formula for him. And he was on KX-Elate for about 3 months, and then his kidney functions normaled out. I mean,
Okay.
he would get his blood taken so much that by 6 months old, he was laughing at the needle. I mean, he peed a lot. I remember that. He still does to this day because kidney functions, when they are elevated or creatinine is elevated, it causes them to pee more. They filter more. So I dealt with I still deal with today a lot of wet, beds, a lot of leaking through the diapers and things like that. We still deal with that today. So where are we? So he's about 6 months old, and the kidney functions normalize and are like a completely normal. We have him all. He stays on that formula throughout. We just keep going every 6 months until today, and it just gets better and better and better. Today, what I look at today is he struggles with incontinence.
What is incontinence?
Incontinence means he can't hold his bladder. He has a 6 millimeter thick bladder, opposed to like you and I have a 1 millimeter thick bladder, and it's overactive. So he gets testing periodically, usually like every other year. We do a urodynamics test where they put some type of like kind of like electrodes inside the bladder and measure the kind of like how they measure ladies' contractions during birth. It's from the
Okay.
inside. So it's measuring the
Okay.
contractions of the inside of the bladder. And it shows that he has a very overactive bladder, and
Okay.
he can't hold it, so he leaks constantly. So he wears diapers at the moment. We are at 12 years old today, and his kidney functions are stage 2 kidney failure. He has very mild hydronephrosis today, which just started coming back this year, but they said that during adolescence that there was a good chance that his kidney function would decrease and that he could end up with needing a kidney transplant or dialysis in adolescence. And kidney failure, it's just stage 2 instead of stage 4, where you end up needing dialysis, and he'll always have that, they said. So there is another procedure that we are looking into for him. It's called a mitrograph, I believe. It's where they kind of rewire the urethra through the belly button, and that way he just caths his belly button instead of peeing through his penis. So he wouldn't have to worry about leaking anymore. It would stay closed until he goes in every 3 or 4 hours and releases it, because
Okay.
he's getting to the point where he is getting embarrassed of it. I mean, he's 12 years old. He's in middle school. He doesn't want to wear diapers anymore. It's hard. He plays soccer. He also, I forgot to mention the breathing issue. There is asthma involved in it. There is a decrease in lung function or lung maturity with these children because the bladder is so extended, their lungs don't develop as well.
Yeah.
And he has asthma, but he does really well. Like, I mean, occasionally he'll have like an exasperation when he gets a little winded, when he's playing soccer, but he's the fastest kid on his team, so he's doing good. He's smart. He gets straight A's. He wants to be a NASA engineer, and
Okay.
yeah,
And
and
you're in Texas, right?
yeah, and
Yeah. So, I mean, how far are you from Houston?
oh, I'm in Maryland, but his
Oh, is that
dad's
far
in
from?
Houston. He was born in Houston, so he wouldn't
Okay.
mind going back to Houston. But
Yeah, that's Space City. That's where NASA is. So,
yeah, I will be sad because I didn't like Houston much.
no?
It wasn't my thing. Wasn't my thing. I got in a lot of trouble in Houston.
Okay, got you. So, that is remarkable that you guys, or at least for you, you have the sentiment that you do. But just kind of going back to like, even like kind of splitting it up too, to even, talking about, those early stages of childhood, right? Like, you have two other, are they boys or a boy and a girl
I
or
have
two girls?
3 boys and 2 girls.
Okay, so you had the boys are older.
No, there's 2 children older than him and 2 children younger than him. He's the middle kid.
Okay, is he the first boy or
No, he's the second boy.
second boy? Okay,
But
so you
every pregnancy after that, I had to get genetic testing and like
mm,
a lot of different
yeah.
focus on making sure that the baby from 12 weeks all the way through didn't end up with LUTO.
Yeah, same thing here. So we had our Jeremiah was our first pregnancy, and he had Ludo, and then he unfortunately passed. Then when we had Maverick, we had to do testing early on, and it was it's it's challenging, right? It's like
Mhm.
nerve-wracking because you don't know if this is going to happen again, and it's like a thought in
You don't
the
want to
back of
tell
your mind,
people
like,
you're pregnant
yeah,
because you're
it's
afraid
really
that it
tough.
might end up. I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I mean, the fact that I'll tell you, the fact that Brandon survived is a miracle. Like, I see
yeah,
a lot more of these babies, unfortunately, pass away or end up needing dialysis or kidney transplants and have a really low quality of life. And I feel so
yeah,
blessed. I prayed
yeah.
so hard, and I can remember sitting there when I was pregnant with him in the beginning, waiting to find out if he was genetically qualified for the shunt surgery and praying. I remember sitting on a corner of a sidewalk and just like looking up at the sky and just praying and praying and praying, God, please let him be okay. And he's like a
Mm,
testimony for me, you know. And then Dr. Ruano, I still have contact with him, and he watches it. Like, he calls him his miracle baby because he's he's the best possible outcome.
yeah, that's amazing. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, like, that is the ideal outcome is your son's situation, considering he had Ludo. And like, what was like the early childhood years like? So most every like, was he developing, crawling,
He
potty
was
training?
slower than my other children. He was a lot
Okay.
slower than my other children's milestones.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, he's the only one with a different father than them. They all 4 have the same father, and he's separate. So I wasn't sure if it had to do with the Ludo or the fact that he has different genetics. So it's hard for me to differentiate between the two.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he was, like I said, we called him chunky because
Mm,
his abdomen was really distended. He had a hard time sitting up, like learning how to sit up and learning how to walk. And I might mention that he also has like ADHD too, and I don't know if that has anything to do with it. Probably not. But like, I dealt with a lot of behavioral issues from him, a lot of acting out. He was a naughty little boy. I'm not gonna lie, he was a really naughty little boy, but now he's really good. He's a really good
mm,
kid. It was stressful. It's always been really stressful with the leaking. I'll be honest with you, because it was like I always had to carry extra diapers. I always had to carry extra outfits because the diapers would leak. I could never
mm.
find a diaper that he wouldn't leak out of.
Wow, he was peeing some serious stuff.
He still is to this day. We have to change his sheets every morning. Every morning we have to
Mm,
change his sheets.
mm,
And it's like, if I don't, because I don't stay on top of him as much as I used to, because he's 12 and he needs to learn a little bit of independence and responsibility for himself now.
yeah.
We just actually had this talk the other day, like, he has to accept that he's just different and that he has extra things that he has to do to make sure that he stays hygienically okay,
Mm,
because like right now he has a UTI and it smells, and I don't want people, he doesn't want anybody to find out that he's wearing diapers. But if he's soaking a diaper and he has a UTI, they're going to find out, like they're going to smell it
mm,
unless he changes it. So right now we have him on a schedule. We struggle. I told you the ADHD portion because he struggles with mental health with this as well.
yeah.
He could probably change his diaper more than he does, and he could probably try to go to the bathroom a little more than he does, but it's extra effort for him, if you know what I mean. Like, it's not like me and you just naturally get up when we have to pee, like, oh my gosh, we gotta
Yeah.
go. He's always gotta go. So he just is desensitized to it and just lets it go.
To go, yeah.
Yeah, like, I wish I could figure it out. There's not much rhyme or reason to it. He has a psychotherapist, cognitive therapy.
Mm-hmm.
He has physical therapy that he's done to try to condition the bladder wall. We've
Okay.
tried medications, which he's on right now. He's on a mirabegron, which is supposed to help with stimulated bladder, but it doesn't help at all. So I just wrote an email to his urologist today about I'd like to stop the medication because it's not working. Because there's no point in giving my child medication that doesn't work, And he's been on it for 3 months. He was on another one before then. I can't remember the name. I was trying to remember it this morning, but I couldn't remember it. But so he this is his second medicine that didn't work at all because we've tried every different angle to try to get this incontinence under control, and it's frustrating. It's very frustrating, but I also am so blessed that that's the only problem that I have with him. You know, like I have to put that into perspective. But
Mm-hmm.
after 12 years of it, it gets exhausting, But it could be so much worse. So much worse. So I just need to be grateful. And that's where I try to take it one day at a time with him right now. And right now I also wanted to add that I talked to a lady who wants to help LUTO parents who are dealing with infant loss or this process of going
Yeah.
through, like I just explained what I had to go through with the doctors and the genetic testing and the weekly ultrasounds and the just the nerve-wracking waiting a day or two to find out the results of some of these tests, not knowing if your child's going to survive the next hour in the NICU, you know, things that you guys had to go through. You didn't. I mean, I don't know your whole story. I look forward to hearing it, but I'm sure it wasn't fun. And mental health would have helped you, I'm sure, or maybe it does help you today. But
Yeah.
there's a lady who wants to come in and act as a nonprofit agency that connects Ludo families to therapists
I would
that
love
will
to
help
talk to
them.
her. That's that would be that's amazing. Yeah. You know, definitely want to talk more about her and your doctor, but I'll share like my side a little bit. It's funny as you were talking and telling your story. It's like every time I revisit my own story, I do get a little choked up, so
I
forgive me.
bet I get it.
There was no mental health support for what we went through. Yeah, you can find a therapist, you can find a grievance counselor and all that good stuff. And but I think the way things were structured at the time, even when the doctors tried to give some level of support, it was all happening very it felt very transactional, it felt very fast. So we found out a little bit earlier. We found out at 13 weeks and once we found out, same thing, referred to a specialist who then referred us to another specialist. And then we were told, like, hey, your baby's not going to make it. And probably the first time I've had a screaming cry in like maybe over a decade. Like, it was one of those like cries where you're like screaming. And it was the first time in my life I truly felt helpless. And I think the bigger shock was it, it wasn't the news I was expecting to hear. I thought it was just, okay, well, your baby has luteal. And I really had it in the back of my mind like it's one of those things that it could pass. Like it's just like, maybe, the tissue that's blocking him from urinating, it kind of clears itself out as the baby gets bigger. Maybe it's just one of
Some
those.
cases it does happen.
Yeah. And I think I've heard that too. And I was like, okay, well, that's all at the time, that's all I needed to know. And I was happy with that. But then, same thing as your son, that bladder is getting so big, it's pushing up on all the other organs. And in my son's case, it caused him to also have a heart condition.
Mm,
And he had heart disease at the time too. So you have the issues with the kidneys, and you also have heart disease. We were lucky enough to get an appointment with Children's Hospital and thing, but we were we got an appointment at Children's Hospital in Pennsylvania. So we went there and they were like, give him another week or two, maybe. I didn't cry at that moment because I said, okay, I'm just going to pray over this. Like, you see your baby on the scan and they're just moving and you're like, I don't know if I can really fully comprehend that there's an end that's happening because I see my baby in the scan, like waving hands and doing it. It's just that the belly is just really out there. And I remember, mind you, this is like we're approaching Mother's Day weekend at this point, and this is our first pregnancy. And we had just I don't even think we've been married a full year yet. We're less than a year married. On top of that, we were referred to Children's Hospital. They sent us back home, but suggested that hey, you guys may want to just go ahead and terminate. And it's like, how can I? He's still like, what do you want me to do? Like, he's still there. He's still moving. He's still alive. He's still very much there. I understand what you're saying, but I'm looking at tangible information that says otherwise. So I remember we came back home, and then the doctor wanted to see us like every 3 days at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And our primary OB wanted to see us every 3 days. So we're seeing him. Everything's looking good. Blood pressure, or sorry, his heartbeat is still beating at the rate it should be beating. This was on Monday. Wednesday, we go see the doctor again. Everything is fine. At this point, I'm praying and I'm saying, you know what, God? I'm asking you to deliver our son healthy, or I'm asking you to take him. I don't want to make a decision, but we are approaching that point where you really you may have to take some other steps if you do not, I think it was in the state of Connecticut, I think you can have an abortion up to 20 weeks if I'm not mistaken. So we
Mm-hmm.
were getting close to that point of no return. And then after that, it's kind of like the procedure situation becomes very, very different. Oh, I didn't want to have to make a decision, so I just really prayed on it. And I remember I even did a fast. So I'm gonna fast from alcohol. I'm gonna fast from pork, like all the foods that I love to eat. Like I'm giving it all up for you, my son. I don't even care. And it's funny because I remember the night before we were supposed to go for our last doctor visit, my wife and I went out to dinner, and the place we went out to dinner, they were giving away free Patron, like the whole bottle of Patron, but you had to drink it there. I'm just like, of course, right? Like I decided to do a fast, and I'm getting tempted by everything, and I was like, you know what? I'm good. I'm just gonna stick to my fish and rice. We went to the doctor's office. Now this is that Friday before Mother's Day.
Mm-hmm.
We go to the doctor's office and we do our last scan. The nurse says, hey, can you guys just hold her hand for me? And I hold her hand. She says, okay, I'm sorry to tell you that your son passed away. And I just remember it like hitting me in a way where I was like, at the same time, it felt bittersweet because I felt like it was an answered prayer.
Mm-hmm.
So it was one thing where it's like, man, this hurts. But at the same time, it's like, man, God was listening because it felt like we didn't have to make the decision. And I prayed for God to do his will if he sees that, hey, he's not going to make it full term.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember that was just a really long day, and a lot of, I think the questions didn't maybe flare up as much on that day, but as time progressed, the questions started to flare up for me. I think the worst part about it was Mother's Day weekend that we found out that our
Yeah.
son passed away. So Mother's Day has never really been Mother's Day for my wife. She kind of, takes that day just to kind of be in peace. So she's not really super festive for Mother's Day because it's the weekend where we lost our son. So she kind of just, even though we have two kids now, she's a little bit more peaceful. I mean, we'll see as time progresses. But then the doctor scheduled us for a procedure that Tuesday. I think it's called a DNC,
Mm-hmm.
and she had the DNC. And I think the hurtful part about it all was we never got a chance to see him. I think that's probably like one of the bigger regrets is not being able to see my son. And I think the guilt I have is I didn't fight hard enough to try and see him. I think we asked, and the doctors were kind of like, well, don't really worry about that right now. Just worry about your health. And I never had it. Even if it was just, I understand, maybe something had happened, but I didn't really have a opportunity to say goodbye. And I've heard stories, I've had other people on the show, and they've shared, their goodbye moments with me. And it's like one of those things where I was like, wow, I didn't fight hard enough. But
This baby died a lot sooner than a lot of these babies have died. He
I'm
was a
sorry.
lot. Your baby was a much younger fetus than
Yes.
a lot of the babies on Ludo Warriors. A lot of those are born at full term and then pass away.
Yeah.
And I would think at 20 weeks, it'd be not the best thing to see. They're very
Yeah.
small.
Yeah.
So
No,
that's
I
probably
I
why they did that for you guys,
I
because they're
agree.
they're kind of like translucent. I'm a little medically inclined, and I have a lot of kids, so
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I know that I hope you find peace in that. I hope that,
Yeah.
your image on the ultrasound is probably what you need to say goodbye to. You need it. That was your moment. I think you did say goodbye. I think when you prayed
Yeah.
that prayer, you said goodbye.
Yeah. I definitely did. And it was, I'll tell you, it definitely brought us closer together, but it was one of the emptiest feelings of my life. And you're right, like I do look at things from a positive perspective, right? Like, I don't know, that's why I look forward to talking to you about the mental health part. Like, to carry a baby full term and go through the full labor and then to lose your child right after that, that's even hard. I mean, that's like, this is the whole, every, even when your child is born healthy and it's still hard. Like, that's just still,
Yeah.
everybody's going through some level of challenge in one way, shape, or form.
Ludo is not a challenge-free diagnosis. It is a lifelong diagnosis of whether you lose your baby or you keep your baby. It's lifelong. It's
Yeah.
lifelong, unfortunately, that we have to suffer from it. And it makes me wonder how long Ludo's been around, and how many babies died back in the
Yeah.
1950s, and
Hmm.
above, or like even before me, because when I went and when Brandon was diagnosed with Ludo, there was two articles on Google about Ludo, and one of them was in England. So the fact that, I feel like, and I asked Chat GBT or Gemini or whatever, I asked him the other day to talk to me about Ludo, and he
Mm.
doesn't really even know that much about Ludo. Like, the internet
Wow.
does not know that much about Ludo. They say it's a very rare disease, and there's not that much information on adulthood in a Ludo child, because so many of them, like Brandon, kind of is pioneering the
Hmm.
children who have survived this because of fetal surgery, the shunt fetal surgery. I mean,
Mm.
it's amazing to me that they were able to do surgery on him through me, and I was just in a twilight. I didn't even go completely asleep during those surgeries. It was just like a twinkle, and they did an ultrasound, and they did it guided through ultrasound. It was pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Yes, I think, God bless Brandon, because like he may be a flag carrier. He may be someone who can, advocate for this disease, advocate for the weak, advocate for, more research. I don't know. I don't know about preventing Ludo, but at least giving people insight as to what can potentially cause it, because we don't know, right? Like, I've had people, everybody has a speculation. I've heard stories or scenarios where a lot of these diseases that can occur are from due to the father.
Mhm.
I've heard that genetics is involved, but science hasn't been able to prove it yet. I question, like, is it like a stress thing? Is it like, is there a level of stress hormone that maybe triggers this type of defect? I don't know, because everybody's stressed out. Like, what, how is it, like some
Well, if
women are,
that's it, if that's the case, that's a very good possibility in my case.
you know,
Because I was very stressed out when I got pregnant with him. Like,
got it.
yeah, it was a very stressful time in my life.
We really don't know, but I do pray, and this is, part of why I'm joining the journey with you, is because, like, you know, in my case, it's a way for me to continue to keep the memory of my son going. And it's a way for me to, even though he's not here on this earth, like he's having some sort of lasting impression. He's, his life is now triggering the next things to happen, and it's causing me to want to drive awareness and to help other people. But I think the biggest thing for me in this LUTO journey is to understand the why. Like, what causes LUTO? What
Yeah.
causes LUTO? And, how can doctors also try to detect it sooner so
Yeah. I
that
think
parents.
everybody should be checked at 12 weeks now or 11 weeks.
Because I think that's when you start to pee, right?
Right.
And you start to pee
Exactly.
on him.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Like, I think, especially if doctors know, they don't have to tell you if it's a boy or girl, but they should say, hey, like, okay, this is a boy, you know, 12 weeks, let's look for these things. And the funny thing about the 12-week mark, in my case, and,
But
and
actually,
somebody,
girls get it too.
I've heard that. Yeah, girls can get it too now.
Very
Yeah.
rare. Very, even more rare than boys. Yeah.
I mean,
I
gosh.
haven't heard of any surviving girls though. The children aspect and mental health. I
Mm-hmm.
want to, because I was talking to the lady about helping the parents the other day, and I said, well, what do you have in place for the children who suffer from this disease? Because as a mother who has one of the few children who is a survivor, it'd be nice to start some type of a chat group or something between the survivors, or,
Yeah.
a mental health group of some sort, something, somebody who knows how to deal with it. Because I tell you, his therapist does not know what she's doing with him. Like they talk about it, but he lies to her about it. He's embarrassed about it. There's got to be somebody who understands, somebody who can relate or resonate or relay mental health,
Yeah.
for these specific problems.
Because I will tell you, he's at an age right now where kids are extremely brutal.
Mhm.
And the kids he may be around will never know his challenge. They will never know how strong he has to be every day, how he has to take the extra steps. They will never understand that. And when kids don't understand something, they pick on it, or they think it's weird or something like that.
He goes to the nurse 3 or 4 times a day just to avoid that. And then he's supposed to change at the nurses during gym, and he doesn't though, but I don't know how that's working out. I think he just puts his underwear on top of his diaper. Nobody knows. But he doesn't have sleepovers or anything. He did with one friend, and his I had to talk to his mom. It's like you have to take extra steps and talk to their parents and be like, "Look, my son has this problem. You might want to put a sheet down or a bag down on your mattress or something." You know what I mean? Like, and then can you help him discreetly dispose of his diaper when he wakes up? Like,
Hmm.
those are things I have to deal with. Okay, though.
I understand that. I mean, I have a sister who has cerebral palsy, and you know, I think whenever I would have sleepovers, I would have to go through the explanation of like why my sister is different and stuff like that. Dealing with a child that has something unique about them, it's so like, as he gets older, I can say this part. As your son gets older, he's going to find himself a group of people like, and I will say this, the beautiful thing about his generation compared to maybe when I was coming up is the kids are willing to be enlightened earlier in life rather than
Mhm.
later, meaning like you can tell me something that's different about you. Like, in my day, if you had to wait until like you were 18 to be like, hey, like I'm a little different. Where like
Yeah.
now I feel like you can do it at like 15, and kids are like they'll probably even celebrate you. Like, he's different, and like we love it for that. Like,
Yeah.
he's going to find himself in that situation where people are just going to be super accepting of him. And in some ways, some people may think that he has a superpower because knowing his journey, people are gonna be like, dude, like you're pretty badass, dude. Like, that's a lot. Like, you're fighting kidney failure right now, and you're able to do everything that we do. Soccer, like, dude, I get a splinter, I'm down for 3 days. Like, you're out here, So you're pretty badass, that you're a pretty strong dude, and like people will really gravitate to him in his life.
I told him he's made for big things.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, listen, with when you give someone the context of what your son has been through, it's like I wouldn't mess like he's pretty tough dude. I probably wouldn't want to fight him. Like, like that's he could probably take
He's
a
got a
blow.
little attitude on him too, I tell you. He's definitely
I wouldn't want to mess with him. But I feel like, as he progresses and I just know like 12 years old is just like an age where kids just can be really mean
hmm
and cold and not really understanding of things, and he's definitely gonna find like a clique of friends who are and gonna probably even protect him in many ways. So I feel good about that.
And I think once he gets this surgery that I think he's decided that that's the route he wants to go. I'm leaving it up to him. He can either learn to cath his penis or have the mitrograph procedure where it goes through his belly button, and he decided that he'd rather go through his belly button. So I left him up that decision, so we're probably going to embark on that journey this summer.
Okay, okay, I would love to. I will definitely keep tabs on you guys and see how things are going. And in regards to um a kidney transplant, is that kind of like more of a down the line type of
Yeah,
thing, or
if he if his kidney functions get out of whack and go like stage 4, then he would need to be on dialysis, and then they would need to find him a kidney match, and that would be me. I'm a match. Like
okay.
regardless, he's going to be fine.
Okay, great, great. Oh, wow. And we only need one kidney, right? Like you're
Right.
born with two, you just need one
Mhm.
function.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, oh, now you're gonna be able to hold that over him, dude. I gave you a kidney, bro.
Yeah, well, hopefully it doesn't get to that point. That's where
Yeah.
what we're hoping. We just got blood work yesterday, and his creatine's elevated, which is part of the kidney function, the main like tell all of the kidney functions. But it's still within that stage 2 range. It
Okay.
did go up a little bit, but not a lot.
Okay. Gotcha, gotcha. What? So other than that, is his day to day just pretty like he's just a normal 12-year-old other than diapers?
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, besides, typical lack of hygiene of a 12-year-old,
What can you
what are you
do?
gonna do? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, so he's got sleepovers going. Is he limited on food or anything like that?
No. Yes. Well, yes. They tell him not to take NSAIDs, which are like aspirins, ibuprofen, things like that, because it can affect your kidney function. And then he's also told not to drink caffeine. Like you're not supposed to drink a lot of caffeine, and yeah, that's basically the only thing that I really worry about for his intake. They did try to put him on a diet when he was like a newborn, or 6 months old, when he was eating solids. There were certain foods that I couldn't give him. I can't remember exactly which ones it was, but there were certain ones that they prefer that I didn't give him, and he did fine. Now he just eats whatever and everything.
That's that's awesome. So really, as a boy who was born, he had to have just to recap, so he had to have two shunts put in him, was born with one in his hand.
Mhm.
You guys went through the early stages of, the doctor visits, and he had to have an initial procedure in the NICU. And that was the only procedure he had, or did he have to have
Well,
several more?
he had the circumcision when he was 6 months old,
So
which,
two procedures basically.
yeah, 2 procedures, but he's had a couple like cystoscopies and urodynamics testing, which are invasive testing.
Mm-hmm.
One, the cystoscopy they get put under general anesthesia for. So yeah, so he was put to sleep for that. What was I keep on forgetting what I was gonna say. Go ahead.
That's okay. So then he had some delays, right, coming up as far as like sitting up, being mobile. Those things were a little bit more delayed, but not something that was like severely delayed, just
No.
maybe a little slower than the other children.
hmm
And then coming up in his earlier years, everything seemed to be fine. And like I said, the beautiful thing is two procedures. I mean, two, yes, you still had to have a couple of look under the hoods from the doctors, but like actually going in to do any type of intervention, he only had two. He is now 12 years old. He's having sleepovers. He's playing soccer, one of the fastest kids out there. He's able to eat whatever he wants. The challenge he has right now is being able to control his bladder, but you guys are actively looking into potentially doing a procedure where he would be able to relieve his bladder from his belly button rather than his penis, which will give him more. So they're going to kind of basically rewire his bladder. So
The
he's.
urethra, rewire the urethra.
Oh, the urethra. Okay, gotcha. They're going to rewire his urethra so he can relieve himself through his belly button.
Or something like
And
that,
then
I think.
something like that.
I
And
hope
that should.
nobody tells me I'm wrong.
Yeah. Okay. And then, from there, it will continue to normalize his life for him so he can just continue on living a healthy life, hopefully go on to bigger and better things. And, but he's, for the most part, I mean, he's a normal kid. He's a
Yeah.
normal kid. I mean, he's a normal kid. Probably gets into trouble a little bit, gives you a little bit of, gives you a
Yeah.
run for your money.
Mhm.
I mean, man, that's a blessing of an outcome. That's a blessing of an outcome.
Yeah.
And I commend you too because, like, we didn't even get into like, did you have to deal with postpartum? That part too, like we know, that's the
Yeah.
other part too. Like, we didn't know, we
I
didn't
have
even check in
I
on
have
a
a
mom.
daughter who's 14 months younger than him.
Hmm.
So I had a baby 4 months after I got pregnant 4 months after he was born. So I dealt with all of that while I was dealing with a newborn.
You are a tough person, man. Yeah, I would not want to fight you either. So, like,
Funny. Yeah.
did you um, did you also have to, did you have to deal with the postpartum? Probably, if you did, probably felt it more with your daughter than with Brandon.
I did after my daughter was born, I kind of spiraled out of control a little bit for a while. And then I
Yeah.
had my fifth child in 2019. And then ever since then, ever since 2020, I've been kind of getting the help I needed from all of the babies back to back and trauma from dealing with him. Like I never stopped. I never stopped to really break down. You know what I
Mm,
mean? But I've done a lot of work on myself in the past 5 years. That's yeah. So I mean, it would have definitely helped me a lot if they had some type of community at that time, to bounce things off of and things like that. And that's why I started LUTO Warriors, because there was no information out there,
mm-hmm.
nobody to bounce things off of. I was in pregnancy groups throughout most of my pregnancies where women chat back and forth, and due date groups, like say you're due May of 2019, and everybody who got pregnant and is due May of 2019 will have a mommy group. I don't know if your wife does it or not, but
I have this.
I was the only one in my group that, had these types of issues in that mommy group, but it would have been nice to go to a group that like I have, that has
Mm,
other moms that have been through this. And I'm just really blessed that it took off, because, last year or the year before that, we had like 300. And then I looked recently, we have like 650 people or something like that. There's a lot of people out there that need help, or, are looking for support, looking for answers, looking for outcomes, looking for hope,
yeah,
because the first thing they say is kill your baby, and I don't agree with that at all. I'm an advocate for give them a chance.
yeah. And your testimony, like, that's the beautiful part, right? Like, I hope this testimony reaches whoever it needs to reach to, because like, there's people sitting there like, what do we do? And it's like you fight until the end.
Yeah,
You
you take
fight
one
until the
day
end.
at a time,
Yeah.
one day at a
Uh,
time, and you pray.
and terminating the pregnancy is the easy way out. Like, doctors tell everybody this, well, at least they've told us, and it's like, you'll have another baby. Like, it's not a pet frog, okay?
Right, yeah.
Like
Right, right.
it's not like,
I
oh, okay, let's go get another one from the store. It's like,
I mean,
no,
I
like,
don't judge the people who don't want to live this life. I mean, just like any disability, there's people who can't handle it. If they know that their child's going to have Down syndrome, some people, or any any other anomaly. There are some people that, and I don't judge them, but if you intended on fighting for your child, then fight for your child. It's not that it's not necessary to just give up. Like,
Right.
there is hope out there. I have 12 years of hope for you guys.
Mhm.
For everybody to
Yeah.
just look at, he's blonde hair, green eyes, tall, getting tall, pretty normal kid. Pretty normal kid. It's a little extra work.
Yeah, it's a little, I mean, but it's like the work, to be honest with you, it sounds like it doesn't sound, it sounds, I feel like it's like it becomes part of just life, right?
Yeah,
Yes, it's an,
it's just accepting life on life's terms.
yes, it's an extra part of life, but it's a beautiful thing because it's a reminder like, yo, like you're a survivor, man. Like there's a lot of people who didn't make it this far, and you're one of the special ones that did. You're here for a reason. There's a greatness there. Like, you're spot on when you said like, you're he's got to be like. There's gonna. I don't know if we know what it is yet, but I'm sure there is a greatness that's going to be tied to him because he's here for a reason. And he's one of the ones who made it. And I do feel like these doctors. One thing I would love for doctors to do is just to be a little bit more empathetic to the situation. When we tell, oh, you'll have another baby and da 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 da.
Yeah.
Hey, I had one person on, and she told me she just lost her. She was actually the first guest. She went to the her appointment for the DNC, and when she got there, they had already had like this box for her baby with the baby's name on it. Like as soon as she walked through the door, it was like maybe they thought they were doing something, like they were doing a kind gesture, but like you're like, hey, look, we have your coffin, and it was just
Wow.
really. I think it felt like a very insensitive moment for her, especially you hadn't even had like you're just there, you hadn't even had the procedure yet. So I that kind of hurt me to see. I don't know how I would have reacted. Then, I think the other hard part for her was to go through the process of now you have to take your fetus baby and hand him over to a funeral home who's now going to take possession of him, and they're going to do like a cremation process. So it's like there's a whole like, and I think the hard part about all of this, especially losing a child to LUTO, is the extremes, right? You go from, whoa, this is great, we're gonna have a baby, and like we're loving it, we're loving the scans, to it's literally just a brick wall, and like all of a sudden, hey, you gotta come to my office quick. We gotta talk about something going on with your baby, and then you found out that there's LUTO, and then they tell you your baby's not gonna make it. It's such a dramatic shift
It is.
where it's like for someone's nervous system, that's just gotta be insane.
Right.
Like that's absolutely insane to go from that extreme in such a short period of time.
It
And
is.
I applaud you because I don't know your whole story, but what I will say to you is this, just on the Ludo alone, okay? Just on that alone, I'm sure you've got other stuff that has been it's going on, but just on that alone, you have to have been built different to go through that. It's not for the weak. It's not for those who are unsure of themselves. You literally have to lock in because you see the meticulous work you had to do during the pregnancy and then post pregnancy. And I'm sure even like those first nights, you're like, okay, I have the baby. It's like, who knows, like, is it like a nervous wreck situation? Like you're, oh my gosh, are you gonna be okay? Are you okay? Do you need this? Do you need that? So I applaud you because you're a strong mama. And that I can just tell you, even though I didn't make it to the finish line like you did, just seeing what it takes to go through this journey, it's a lot. It's not easy.
Thank you.
And that's just one leg of it, right? Like there's also like you still have a whole life, a whole personal life that you have to carry too, right? So you're like, I applaud you because that's a lot for a person.
Appreciate that.
But in regards to the mental health component, if your friend or person is willing, I would love to have them on and talk more about mental health for Ludo and how we can help parents who are going through it because to your point, there's a lot of like we just saw someone in the group the other day. I think they gave birth at 37 weeks as well. And now they don't, it's kind of taking it day by day, but it's like those days, man, you're just biting your nails. They probably feel extremely long because it's like you just don't. No, like the doctors
It
can't
was rough, I
tell you.
tell you that, because the Ronald McDonald House, like, you could only stay there at night, and then you have to sign up between certain hours. You'd have to go and sign up to get in at night, and then you might have to get on a waiting list if you get there too late. And then if that happens, then you just end up sitting in a waiting room and sleeping, like, while your baby's in the NICU, because you can't be in there all night. It's crazy. It was a lot. His team, he had such a good team of, because so, and I just wanted to add that, like today, what today looks like is nephrologist, urologist, cognitive therapist, psychiatrist, physical therapist, and primary care physician. That's what our care team looks like for him alone.
Wow, it's a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when he was in the NICU, were you able to hold him at all?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, cool. At
He
least
had,
you got a chance to do that.
I'll send you some pictures. He had a lot of PAPs, like breathing machines and wires and everything. They'd have to like get all of his wires and gather them up with him and bring him over. And I wasn't able to breastfeed him. He was my only child. I wasn't able to breastfeed because of him needing to be on special formula and needing certain intake. So that was upsetting.
That is, I was gonna ask you. Oh, speaking of the Ronald McDonald House, okay. So in my case, I was blessed enough where I could go to Philadelphia, and my brother worked for the Marriott at the time, so he was able to help me in getting a hotel room. But I know there are people out there who are fighting for their kid, and then it's like, we have now the doctors are like, well, we gotta have to stay here for a while. Now you got this financial burden hanging over your head. So I don't know if you know of any organizations, but I'm happy to do some research and, partner with you if you're interested to figure out like ways to help mothers. And I don't think there's a Ronald I don't know if there's a Ronald McDonald House everywhere where people will have that opportunity.
Yeah. It'd be nice to start a foundation of some sort for Ludo moms specifically, because especially there, I wanted to touch base on, there are people who are out of country, and if you're out of country, this is like a death sentence. England won't do a shunt surgery. New Zealand won't do a shunt surgery. It's like we're the only ones doing the shunt surgery. Maybe Germany or like India or somewhere like that might do it, but not many places are doing it. And I mean, let alone give them an epidural. I mean, it's crazy. So I know that Dr. Wano, I wanted to touch base with him this week, and I tried to, and we had a hard time getting up with each other, but I wanted to see, I know he has something in place for people outside of the country, but I'm not exactly sure what it is. So
Hmm.
I usually
Got it.
connect them with him. So if anybody wants to reach out to me, if you're struggling and you're getting a bunch of uh referrals to terminate your pregnancy and you want a second opinion, let me know. Reach out to me and I'll get you in contact with Dr. Ruano and his team and see if there's anything they can do. And I would like to figure out if there's something that we can set up in place to help people get to them doctor's appointments. He's in Miami now, or Texas Children's still has a bunch of good material, fetal medicine or fetal surgeons there, even though he's not there anymore. The Mayo Clinic has a bunch of people. Like, there's certain places that do better with Luto than others. Like, I wouldn't take my friend who has a fetus with Luto, I wouldn't take him to Johns Hopkins because I haven't heard good things about them. But I live right here to Johns Hopkins. My daughter goes to school at Johns Hopkins. Like, it's a great hospital, but they aren't specialized in Luto.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. That's
yeah,
not their thing.
it's very rare that somebody knows how to fix it. So,
Well, you've given me some homework to do because I know I have to go look into how to establish a 501(c) and get a nonprofit going so that way we can support these people. So I'm going to take that away. I'm going to follow through with it because when I say it, I have to do it now. I'm the type of person. And I am definitely going to look into how to potentially start a foundation so that way we can raise money and support people who need to stay for extended time because of treatment, or like I gotta try, like, I am blessed that I can go to Philadelphia, but going to Philadelphia from Connecticut is no, it's no, it costs money. Like,
Yeah,
there's things can be cost prohibitive, and like the last thing you need to be worried about if you're fighting for your kid is like, well, do I pay for the hotel or do I pay to keep the lights on? Like, you
right.
shouldn't have to make those decisions when you're trying
Yeah,
to
I had
fight
no
for your child's
job.
life.
I was digging in the Ronald McDonald kitchen. They had like ramen noodles and stuff. I had just had a baby. I had hardly any money. I was on Medicaid, and I was literally eating ramen noodles from the Ronald McDonald's house. That was basically all I had.
Yeah.
And they'd have other like apple sauces and stuff. You know what I'm talking about, like food pantry stuff.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And that's my thing. Like, I would see, that's the thing is, for me, I would want to do something where it's like you can be as comfortable as you can, right? It's already a difficult situation.
Mhm.
If we can make at least like, hey, I have a cozy bed, I got warm food, like I don't have to think. Like that's what I don't want, right? I don't want you to have to think and worry like, what am I gonna eat later? Like, I want things just to be ready for you, right?
Right.
And oh my gosh, you just gave me a mission.
Good. I've had
But
this mission in mind for a very long time. I just didn't know how to get it started, or if I had the willpower or the time. I have 5 kids. So I needed somebody else who was passionate about it as well to help me get the ball running. So
yeah.
awesome. I'm glad.
Yeah, so we'll
Thank you.
we'll stay in touch about that, because and now I'm probably, once I hang up with you, I'll probably be up for a little bit, like doing some research on how to
Wheels
get this
turning.
started. Yeah, no, it is what it is now. I gotta go. Like, I'm in it. So, but I really appreciate talking with you this evening. This was very insightful. I didn't think I was gonna get emotional on this call because your son survived. I thought this was gonna be like a happy one, but I'm glad that I was able to also reminisce on some feelings that I had too. So thank you for that. Thank you for I don't know, maybe this was God's plan that I needed to talk to you, because now that's probably the next step I need to make, is to start a nonprofit to help help mothers, help. It's not even about helping mothers. It's really about helping anyone who's going through LUTO.
In
I,
any
like you
way
said,
we can help them.
any way we
If it's
can.
a
Yeah,
plane
even
ticket, if it's,
yeah.
whatever it is to get them the help that they need.
I am telling you, like it. I just happen to be blessed to be able to be in a situation. I live in Connecticut. I just happened to find tickets for $20 on an Amtrak to go to Philadelphia. That's a rare, like that. I don't know if that was a glitch in the system or something, but that I should have paid significantly more, and I happened to get a really affordable ticket, which I was super thankful for. And my brother worked at the hotel, so he was. But like, that's an easy. And then you got to consider what we got to eat. That's an easy $1,000 trip to
Yeah.
Philadelphia at minimum. At minimum.
Yeah. In 2014, 13, when he was born, it was a 45-minute drive back to my house on the highways through tolls down to downtown Houston. I was in where was I? Hobby? No, not Hobby. Porter, like near Port Montgomery County,
Hmm.
Texas. Do you know where that is?
No,
Okay. Humble.
I've heard of Humble, Texas.
Yes, Humble. That's where I was living, and I had to go to downtown Houston. Yeah, and yeah, that wasn't fun. But well,
All right, my friend. Well, thank you again. Please feel better. Rest up on your back.
thank you.
I I am going